This video released by the U.S. Coast Guard shows the interception of a narco submarine. A Marine patrol aircraft was conducting routine patrol near the Pacific coast when they noticed a reflection of a submarine beneath the water surface. The sighting was immediately reported to the U.S. Coast Guard, and within minutes, 2 boats and a helicopter arrived at the location. In the video, it can be seen that the Coast Guard crew had moved extremely close to the submarine, but it appears that the smugglers inside were unaware of their presence. Eventually, the officers forcefully opened the submarine's hatch and arrested the smugglers from inside. This narco submarine was carrying 3,000 kilograms of cocaine, which was being silently transported from South America to the United States. It was one of the 200 narco submarines captured by authorities between 2006 and 2025. However, these are only the ones that were intercepted. Every year, thousands of submarines successfully deliver illegal drugs to the United States without anyone ever knowing. How do narco submarines operate? Why are they so difficult to detect? And where are they built? Ladies and gentlemen, drug smuggling is an activity that every country, in every era, has continuously tried to stop by creating new institutions and enforcement agencies. However, despite all these efforts, it has not been possible to eliminate it completely in the United States and many European countries. The biggest reason for this is that powerful drug cartels always stay 2 steps ahead of anti-drug forces. From the very beginning, South America has remained a stronghold of the illegal drug mafia. The primary reason is the region's unique climate, which is considered ideal for the cultivation of coca plants. The world's largest production of cocaine takes place in Colombia. Around 90% of the cocaine seized in the United States is linked to Colombia. This is followed by Peru and then Bolivia. These 3 South American countries are known as the Golden Triangle of the cocaine industry. Approximately 99.5% of the world's cocaine is produced in these 3 countries. To transport these drugs from South America to Central America and Europe, various methods were used over time. In the 1960s, when security restrictions were relatively weak, people carried cocaine in their luggage on passenger airplanes and transported it to Central America and Europe. When security became tighter, maritime ships began to be used, but smuggling offered extremely high profit margins, especially when the product was illegal. As a result, in the 1980s, drug mafias also started using Cessna aircraft. These planes flew from Colombia and landed on secret runways built on small Caribbean islands and deep within the jungles of Central America. This was the era when Pablo Escobar's Medellin cartel controlled nearly 80% of the world's cocaine market. Clever partners like Carlos later turned islands such as Norman's Cay into major smuggling hubs where these small aircraft regularly landed. However, as radar systems improved, law enforcement agencies began intercepting these planes. The cartels then shifted to smuggling operations using speedboats. These were not ordinary boats, but specially modified vessels. Loaded with drugs, these boats were raced toward Caribbean islands, and by the time Coast Guards detected them, they had already completed their delivery and disappeared. But the United States and its allies deployed extensive patrols and advanced radar systems across the Caribbean and the Pacific, which led to these modified speedboats being detected as well. By the 1990s, the major drug cartels found that both aerial and maritime routes to the United States had effectively been shut down. This pressure gave rise to engineering innovation. The cartels needed a technology that could deceive radar systems, evade marine patrols, and above all, transport the maximum possible quantity of drugs. As a result, the cartels began using technology to build submarines, specifically fiberglass vessels whose structure filters radar signatures and makes detection extremely difficult. Compared to the limited capacity of speedboats, these submarines were capable of carrying between 5 and 10 tons of cocaine. They became known as narco submarines, and they were so effective that for many years, anti-narcotics agencies had no idea which routes were being used to move drugs through Central America. This trend, which began in the 1990s, was exposed 16 years later in 2006 when the first narco submarine was intercepted. Around 160 kilometers off the Pacific coast of Costa Rica, a U.S. Coast Guard crew conducting aerial patrol spotted 3 plastic pipes emerging from the water. Further investigation revealed that it was a 50-foot-long submarine constructed from wood and fiberglass. U.S. Coast Guard officials and other authorities stated that they had heard about such vessels before, but this was the first time they had actually seen one. This raises an important question. Where do drug cartel engineers build these submarines? What kind of facilities exist inside them? How far can they travel? And why do smugglers deliberately sink them after completing their missions? Since 2006, around 200 narco submarines have been captured. However, authorities believe that many times more have continued to operate without ever being detected. Narco submarines are generally classified into 4 main types. The first type is known as the low-profile vessel, also referred to as LPV. This vessel does not fully submerge underwater. Instead, most of its body remains below the surface, while only a small top section stays above the water. It is approximately 14 meters long, and its color closely matches the ocean, which helps it avoid detection. In terms of capacity, it can transport up to 7.7 tons of cocaine. According to authorities, it is mostly used on short routes from South America to Central America. The second type is the transatlantic semi-sub. It is similar to the LPV but more modern and significantly larger, with a length of over 20 meters. It contains 3 compartments, one for the engine, one for the crew, and one for cargo. Its fuel capacity can reach up to 20,000 liters, which allows it to travel long ocean routes, including journeys from Brazil to Europe. These submarines do not use GPS systems. Instead, the smugglers on board navigate by adjusting their direction using a compass. The third type is the snorkel sub. This model closely resembles a real military submarine and is capable of fully submerging underwater. It is 24 meters long and built with a fiberglass body. When it is in operation, only a snorkel pipe remains above the water surface, providing air for the diesel engine and oxygen for the crew. It is equipped with ballast tanks that can take the vessel even deeper in emergency situations. To date, no snorkel sub has ever been captured while in active operation. The fourth type is the most sophisticated and advanced model, known as the electronic submarine. This is the newest and most advanced form of narco submarine. It is approximately 12 meters long, built with a fiberglass body, and operates without any onboard crew. It does not use a diesel engine. Instead, 2 batteries power electric motors. Because it is fully electric, it operates extremely quietly, and even sonar systems struggle to detect it. Its range is around 60 kilometers, which is why it is usually towed by a larger ship. When Coast Guard forces approach, the towing cable is released, and the submarine silently disappears. Authorities state that no electronic narco submarine has ever been captured during an active mission. Only prototype models have been found in jungle areas, which is how information about this technology has been obtained. These submarines are equipped with small washrooms, sleeping areas for crew, and energy bars for long missions. Do you know where these highly advanced submarines are actually built? Most of these submarines are constructed in hidden shipyards deep inside the dense jungles of South America. These locations are so remote that reaching them is nearly impossible. Due to the thick jungle cover, these shipyards cannot be detected by satellites, drones, or even helicopters. Building a single submarine costs approximately $2 million. However, compared to a cargo of 10 tons of cocaine, worth nearly $400 million, this cost becomes insignificant. This is why these submarines are designed for one-time use. As soon as a mission is completed, their valves are opened and the submarines are deliberately sunk into the ocean. This ensures that the vessel is never recovered by the Coast Guard and the builders can never be traced. In some cases, even when crew members are on board and suspect that the Coast Guard is approaching, they activate the emergency valve and intentionally sink the submarine, escaping themselves, leaving behind no evidence. Before 2008, U.S. law required Coast Guard crews to treat sinking narco submarines as rescue situations. As a result, The submarine would sink thousands of meters to the ocean floor. All evidence would be lost, and prosecuting the smugglers became extremely difficult. After 2008, the law was changed. However, smugglers still continue to sink these submarines, making legal arguments easier and, in some cases, reducing their punishment. This is why narco submarines are almost always destined to sink, whether the delivery is successful or the vessel is intercepted. Only in very rare cases have Coast Guard forces managed to capture a narco submarine while it was still in active operation. But here, an important question arises. Where did authorities obtain the detailed information about these submarines that you are seeing in this video? In 2022, a mastermind of the smuggling world, Oscar Moreno Ricardo, was arrested. He was known as the King of Narco Submarines. He was not actually a drug smuggler. Instead, his primary role was the construction of narco submarines. It was later revealed that Oscar had previously been involved in transporting cocaine using speedboats. However, over time, he became a highly skilled engineer who built advanced and highly efficient narco submarines for major drug cartels. He designed submarines for large criminal organizations operating in Colombia and Mexico. Oscar Moreno Ricardo typically worked from secret shipyards hidden deep inside jungle regions. However, in January 2022, he traveled to the Colombian city of Medellin to finalize a deal where he was arrested. This operation involved Colombia's National Police and Army, along with a team from the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. The arrest of a master builder like Oscar is certainly a major victory for law enforcement and authorities. However, it represents only the tip of the iceberg. Experts say that despite successful operations, thousands of tons of cocaine are still being transported beneath the oceans to Central America and Europe. And while old submarines are deliberately sunk to destroy evidence, somewhere in the jungles of Colombia, a new genius may already be working on an even more advanced electric, silent, and unmanned narco submarine. The reality is simple. As long as the demand for drugs exists, the billion-dollar business of drug cartels will continue to operate. We hope you liked this video on Golden TV. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.